Hi, I'm Lance King and I'm bringing you this from a cold, wet winter's day in New Zealand. Some of you might know who I am, but if not, I'll give you a quick background. I've been a teacher for 36 years, and for the last 26 of those years I've been a teacher of the skills of effective thinking and learning. That led me 10 years or more ago into the IB networks, and I designed the ATL skills program for MYP, and I was part of the team that designed the ATL program for DP. I've taught in many IB schools around the world. Many thousands of students have been through my programs, as well as thousands of teachers and parents. I've worked in over 300 schools in 37 different countries. Obviously, for the last 12 months, I've been pretty much at home. But I was intrigued by this, the conference theme. It's the obvious theme, isn't it? How are we going to change education going forward in a post-COVID world? And I think the important question, and this is what I want to be exploring in my session, is that how can we make the whole COVID-19 pandemic situation into a win for education? And I think there's a couple of obvious ways. And I mean, obviously, teachers are going to be more involved with online resources, are going to be more adept at using online technologies, and as are students. And so a major component of education going forward has got to be the utilisation of excellent online resources to enable students to work in using other methods other than in front of teachers in the classroom. But the second thing is I've always taken a student learning perspective in all my work, and I've been looking at testimony from students through the pandemic, and obviously for most students it's been a difficult experience. They've found it much harder to learn. They've suffered academic poor performance, but also emotional difficulties, and the difficulties of isolation and loneliness and lack of connectivity and all those things. But interestingly enough, there's one group of students for whom the COVID pandemic remote learning experience was very positive. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about and get people to think about on my workshop, because it seems that those students have a couple of characteristics in common. One, they found live in-person schooling to actually be detrimental to their academic performance. So, for example, you could probably think of students like this that you know, students who just find being in crowds and being with other people to be really difficult for them to manage, or maybe to be very distracting for them in the classroom, or maybe they find socialization and peer pressure and bullying, those kind of things that happen in the playground at school, to be really difficult to manage and also detrimental to their learning in the classroom. Or maybe they had difficulties with time frames and time structures and being required to do things at set times and in certain time frames. Or maybe they just found that their way of learning was different from the way of teaching, or 100 other things. And these are the students who found at school learning to be difficult, and they're finding at home learning, remote learning, to be excellent and to actually improve their academic performance and improve their enjoyment of schooling. But in order to do that, they need to have a second factor in common, and that is a good mastery of all the skills of effective self-managed learning. And the third common feature of all these students is that in a normal live in-person school environment pre-COVID, they were always underachieving. They were always performing at a lot lower level than they could. And what these students have discovered is through remote learning, their performance has improved markedly. Now, in order to capture that improvement and to keep that improvement in schools after the COVID pandemic, what we have to do is a couple of key things. One, we have to help teachers learn how to create effective, self-managed and remote learning experiences that can be done within the classroom. In other words, to allow some students in each classroom, those who have proved they are effective managers of their own learning, to actually take the same lesson and take it away either to the back corner of the classroom, or maybe to the library, or maybe somewhere else, and actually work on it themselves with clear guidelines and clear timeframes and clear objectives, but to be able to do it as a semi-remote learning experience either within the classroom or certainly within the school. And that will enable those underachieving students who have performed so well during the COVID pandemic to actually maintain that high performance when they get back to school. And the second thing is to make sure that we have available for all students across the board good quality training in all the skills of self-managed learning. And if we put in place those two things, then what would happen is you'd have an increase in academic performance across the school by capturing all the underachieving students, but also you would future-proof and you would protect the students against not being able to manage in any particular future pandemic. So I hope that appeals. I hope people are interested in coming along and talking about that. I'll have lots of evidence, lots of free resources, lots of stuff for teachers, and I hope to get some good Q&A going and some good discussion around these key points. So thanks very much. That's it from me. Bye.